Hey guys, I'm Partho. Welcome to my channel Art Design. You can follow me on facebook.com artdesign85. In today's tutorial I will show you how to create this composition in Photoshop using various techniques. So let's start. So guys, let's start by creating the background, and we are going to use these three images for our composition. So select the BG1 and press Ctrl plus T to free transform it and stretch it. Just do it how much you want. Yeah, now press enter. Now select the second one. The same process. Press Ctrl plus T to free transform it and stretch it. Now we are going to use a layer mask on it and blend these two pictures. Select the layer mask, go to gradient tool, select the linear gradient and shift plus click to drag it down, and we have blended these two pics. And now we are going to work on the third BG. Press Ctrl plus T and stretch it. And you can see there are a few things. We will adjust the opacity over here. Just set the opacity to 70% and create a layer mask on it and remove those lines you don't want. Now we are going to adjust the brightness and contrast of the BG2. Go to the adjustment layer, select brightness and contrast, create clipping mask. If you could see, there's a lot of brightness over here. Sorry. If you can see, there are a little bit of much brightness over here, and we are going to adjust this brightness. So go to the brightness and contrast and set it to, yes, 19 is exactly fine. Now we are going to add a warm contrast to our scene that will make it more dramatic. So how to do that? Just go to the new adjustment layer, color lookup, crisp warm. But this is too much of contrast, we need to adjust it. but reducing the opacity. Just reduce the opacity to 30%. I think it's looking very good. You can see before and after how it's affecting our scene. Now create a new layer above it and press Ctrl Alt Shift and E. Now press Ctrl Alt Shift and E. We have merged all the backgrounds in one layer and we are going to blur it. Go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. You can keep it around like 4.3 pixels or 4.6. I'm going to keep it around like 4.5. Press OK. Yeah, it's looking pretty damn good now. Now we are going to work on the foreground. Select the foreground layer and rename it as foreground and press Ctrl plus J to duplicate it. And why we duplicated it, in case if you did it wrong or you need to change it later, you can do it. Now create a new layer above it, press Ctrl plus E to merge it. Now zoom in the foreground layer. If you can see, we have a little white edges over her body. We need to remove it. It's called fringe. So it's a very easy process to remove the fringe. Go to layer, matting, fringe. Set the width to 2 pixels and press OK. The fringes are gone. Take the rover tool and you can remove it. Rename it as foreground once again and create a new layer above it. Delete it, or we'll do it later. Now first we are going to adjust the broken piece of the floor. Take the polygonal lasso tool, select it and press Ctrl plus C to copy it and Ctrl plus V to paste it. Now press Ctrl plus T to free transform it and right click, flip horizontal. Now we will place it and scale it according to our comp. Yeah, it's looking fine now, and we are going to delete this part also. Just few things left. selection, press delete, sorry, this one, delete it. Yes, we are done with our floor, and we will merge these two layers. Press Ctrl plus E to merge it, and select the spot healing brush tool, create a new layer above it, and remove the lines. It's all removed. Now merge these two layers. Press Ctrl plus E to merge it. Now create a new layer once again, and right click, create clipping mask, name it as airbrushing. Now we are going to airbrush on our skin, but just a bit we are going to do. If you think you are doing wrong on our skin, you can later adjust it, but in the I have duplicated the ones layer, you can do it once again. So take the mixer brush, select the airbrush layer, and paint on a skin. We're making the skin smooth a bit. You can see the difference now. And I think the skin is looking pretty good now. By using airbrush, you can use this technique to your composition. So we are going to add a brightness and contrast adjustment layer. Right click, create clipping mask, set the brightness to -80, select the layer mask, go to the brush tool and set the opacity to 17 or 16%, in between that, and start painting on the light areas. Just only paint on the areas where the light is going to reflect. Yes, from the legs to the hands, the edges. Just follow how I am painting those light and shade. Just how much you can see the light is so far, how much it can reflect, you need to paint that much on it. You can see how I painted on the brightness and contrast mask layer. Press Alt plus click to reveal it. So this is the way you need to paint the light and shadow. Now we are going to add a color balance adjustment layer. Set the yellow to -17, and after that we are gonna add a one more adjustment layer, that's hue saturation, and we'll adjust the saturation about like -12. Now create a new layer above the airbrushing layer and rename it as DNB, that's dodge and burn. Go to edit, fill, 50% gray, overlay. Select the dodge tool, set the exposure to 15% and range should be midtones. Just follow the steps how I am doing it. On the shoe areas and the floor, and the hair part. Now we will make a minor adjustments, that's the minor adjustments in the brightness and contrast layer. Select the brightness and contrast, select the brush tool and set the opacity to, I think 12% is fine, and just set the to foreground color to black and reveal those dark areas. Yes, it's now looking pretty good now. Select the DNB layer and select the dot tool again. Just the edges. Now select the layer 1 and rename it as background, and above it create a new adjustment layer, that's the solid color, and we will choose a darker tone like 0D121B, and we'll reduce the opacity to 40%. Our main motive behind it is to create from darker to light, so that's the way we are going to make this compositing. So you can use this technique to make any of your scene like that. Select the gradient tool, radial gradient, select the layer mask and pull it now. It's time for color grading and color adjustments. Select selective color and we will make minor adjustments in the reds channel, that is cyan to -24. You can see how it's looking now. Magenta to 7, yellow to +18, and black to -4, and another adjustment layer, that's channel mixer, and set it to luminosity so you can control the brightness of the scene. There are various presets, you can choose any one from there, and I'm going to make it a custom. Set the red to +34, green to +66, and blue to plus 3. Yes, it's looking fine now. And we'll add one more adjustment layer, that's the curves, so we can boost up the highlights and shadows both. We'll take it a little bit of up, not too much, and from the center now. Few more adjustments left, that is create a new layer above the foreground layer and rename it as hair adjustments. Select the eyedropper tool, select a darker tone and select the brush tool and reduce the opacity to 30% and just need to blend them together. You can see the difference how it's looking now. Now group the color adjustments layer and rename it as color adjustments and select the hair adjustment layer, just the minor fixes. Before we go for our final output, we will adjust our composition a bit. Create a new layer above the hair adjustment layer and rename it as floor shadow. Select the brush, select the eyedropper tool and select a darker tone, brush tool, 30% opacity, it's looking pretty cool now. And after that we are going to blur the background a bit more, not much, Gaussian blur. It's fine now. Press OK. And if you have done a bit of over the dodge and burn, and if you want to remove those parts, just create a layer mask on the dodge and burn. And I want to remove these highlights. I don't want those highlights, I have painted. Select the 30% opacity and remove those things. I don't like this highlights on her hair. Yes, now looking fine. And select the dodge and burn layer, dodge tool, exposure 15%, and we will paint just a bit. create a new layer above the color adjustment group. Rename it as final output. Press Ctrl, Alt, Shift and E. And last and the final correction, that is select the spot healing brush tool, or you can do it just remove this spot, and we are done with our output. So guys, this is our final output. Hope you like the video and press a like on it. If you have any queries related to my tutorial, please put a comment in a comment box and I will reply it, and I will try to solve it also. And thank you very much for watching my video, and a Merry Christmas to all of you.